You have been an enthusiastic supporter of Donald Trump's, and you've cited the 4% growth figure he has promised for GDP growth as a reason to get excited about his presidency. You know that the economists say the economy can't grow that fast without one of two things: a huge increase in the labor force or a huge boost in productivity. What do you say?
Well, under Reagan, we had 4%. Under Bill Clinton, we had 4%. So why wouldn't I think it's 4% isn't possible under Donald Trump? What it needs is stimuli around the FDI side. We've got consumption. The American consumer is buying.
We just need investment.
Yeah, so we just need investment. So what's kept investment back? Well, uncertainty in policies, regulatory overburdens, a tax reform package that never happened. So we get some of those things out of the chute, then why wouldn't FDI come back, and why wouldn't that stimulate us north of 2%?
You've spent some time with the president-elect. What has he told you about what he wants to do?
So the conversations I've had have been on manufacturing,
right?
A passion of mine. I wrote a book called Make It in America 5 years ago. They took notice of the book, and they felt that some of the policy prescriptions I had in there to stimulate factory job growth in America was important to them. So they gave me the honor of leading this team.
The American Manufacturing Council.
Yeah, and this team will be formed in the next weeks as we get all the right membership. And the idea of it is to work on policies that actually speak to your first question. And that's what we've been talking about.
Who have you asked to join you on that team?
Yeah, I can't say right now, but you will be suitably impressed. There's no shortage of people who want to join. I think everyone says, okay, Andrew has been around this a long time. He's written a book on it, literally. President Trump said, let's go do it. And it's part of his policy prescriptions that he's talked about in a lot of other forums, like trade, like tax, like reskilling the workforce, and like regulatory burdens. So I think a lot of people are saying maybe something can be done. So I'll have no shortage of volunteers. And again, I don't get the full say here. The president-elect does, and he's going to have a lot to say about the final membership.
Andrew, as I understand it, you don't believe government should pick winners and losers,
That's
right?
Right.
But you do believe that government should identify underlying economic advantages and shape policy around them. Is that correct?
Yeah, so my headline in the book that spoke about this was, I saw in my industry countries competing like companies. Countries competing like companies means I don't compete against a company from China, I compete against China. Right. I compete against Singapore, I compete against other countries. So I said, and what I think we should do here is level playing field. Create the rules of the road that we all follow, and then let's make those rules as global as we can.
Okay. That's not what the president-elect is doing. The president-elect isn't making the rules of the road the same and asking people to compete, to mix metaphors, on that level playing field. He's threatening companies and saying, if you don't do this, I'll punish you. Ford, for example.
Yeah. Well, look, I can't speak to what Ford did or didn't do about that decision. I can read, like every one of us is reading, what the president-elect is saying. What he's been talking to me about is, I want fair trade, Andrew. I want fair trade. I want to be able to access markets in China, just like Chinese companies access markets in the United States, on the same rules. I'll go to work on fairness. I'll go to work on all the things that I think matter to create jobs in America and competitiveness. And if some of those things don't suit the leader of our country and his administration, fine. But we will make the recommendations that create a level playing field.
Do you expect pushback from CEOs? You, as a CEO, have a fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders to deliver maximum return, right?
Yeah.
Best bottom line you can. And if the best bottom line you can doesn't mean manufacturing in the United States, presumably you won't do it there.
We're extremely profitable in the United States. We're extremely profitable as an exporter from the United States, but 2/3 of our business is outside of the United States. We know how to make money in every jurisdiction in the world. What I have to fight is the cost of regulatory burdens, of unequal tax policies. And if I can get more advantage for my shareholder by having better tax policies and better regulation policies in the United States, then this really makes a lot of sense for Dow Chemical.
Andrew, ultimately, how sustainable are manufacturing jobs in the long run when automation and artificial intelligence are already transforming the factory and ushering in the fourth industrial revolution? How many people are going to be employed in these manufacturing facilities?
Well, like somebody told me about manufacturing when I first wrote the book, we don't talk much about looms and weaving anymore, do we? But that was a breakthrough technology the early part of last century, how to make textiles. Okay, so technologies do advance. buggy whips to automobiles. We are in a technology discontinuity that's going to create more jobs because of the discontinuity, not less jobs.
You're certain of that?
Oh, I am certain that humanity will keep creating new ways to work. We just have to get education and reskilling the workforce to catch up. That's what I'm certain about. I see nothing other than opportunity out there. Maybe Buffett-like, I'm an optimist, but I would tell you that we've got to have the policies that shape every aspect of our economy, including getting our workers ready for this new type of work.